Review code provided by Grasshopper Manufacturer. Thanks.
I think that I'm Tom Cruise.
Come on! Romeo Is a Dead Man is the latest game by Grasshopper Manufacturer, the cool-ass development studio behind classics like Contact and that Evangelion rhythm game for PSP. Their first original IP in over a decade, it's an action-packed brawler slash third-person shooter where you play as Romeo Stargazer, a young spry cop that bites off more than he can chew one night when this white beast, this white devil, does the same in the middle of the night during his patrol.
The fuck are you?
However, genius scientist and Romeo's grandfather, Professor Benjamin, saves him with a piece of technology that transforms his body with incomprehensible tech, fusing with what's left of his organic system that gives him the ability to fight with awesome high-tech power, turning him into Dead Man. This is the story of Romeo Stargazer. No, Dead Man.
Use this. You're really gonna feel it now.
Romeo Stargazer. God, that is such a cool name. Let's sidebar for a minute. The people at Grasshopper have a real knack for coming up with the coolest names for their characters. It's like they're more concerned with how well they roll off the tongue rather than sensibility. How appropriate when the company's CEO goes by the name Suda51, which also rolls off the tongue. The 51 comes from Goichi, his first name, while also being the pronunciation of 51 in Japanese. Of course, only bozos would call him Suda51 because it's the correct phrasing or whatever. Fuck that. Go with what sounds cooler, and what he refers to himself as.
I'm Suda51.
I'm Suda51.
With that said, let's do a top 10 coolest names in Grasshopper games. Number 10, Sundance Shot. Alliteration is awesome. Number 9, Brian Buster Jr. All they did was flip 2 letters of a wrestling move and they got a dope-ass name. Number 8, Romeo Stargazer, already hitting the ranks. Number 7, Travis Touchdown, classic superhero alliteration. Number 6, Ito McAllister, no flowery statement, just sounds great. Number 5, Dr. Peace, does he have a doctrine? Who knows? Number 4, Trevor Pearl Harbor, amazing, especially for such a gross looking character. Number 3, Kamui Uehara, now that I pronounce it correctly, I realize it sounds so good. Number 2, Bad Girl, just like her original rank. Before we get to number 1, here's some honorable mentions. One would be Splatterman. The only reason I didn't have it in the top 10 is because that was the concept name for Matt Helms, so it wasn't technically in a final product. But god, Splatterman just sounds so goddamn cool. A few more contenders in my head were Midori Midorikawa, Black Knight Direction, Christian Phantasm, Garcia Hotspur, Harvey Moisewicz Volodarsky, Vanishing Point, Mondo Zappa, Lewis Legend, Mr. Doppelganger Patrick Granada Jr., and Amir Park Reiner. Finally, at number 1, the absolute coolest name in all of Grasshopper history, couldn't possibly go to anyone else but Smoking King. Say it with me, Smoking King. Rolls off the tongue so well, and it's just so brilliant. Look at him. This guy couldn't be called anything else but Smoking King. Which is hilarious, as his name was almost Bomb Man before they changed his motif to cigarettes and cigars rather than just bombs. Anyway, back to the review. Through gaining these new abilities and fighting power, Romeo is enrolled into the FBI's secret division of enforcers that stop criminals harming the space-time continuum. This break in the space-time continuum was firstly caused by Benjamin's experimenting with said continuum, by the way.
Hey, Scott!
Huh. Kind of like Katamari, where the king is the reason the planet's shattered, but he leaves it to the prince to undo his mess. Maybe that's why Romeo is kind of forced into this division since Benjamin is technically dead. With that, Romeo is on his own fighting hordes of ghouls at different points of time while apprehending dastardly criminals across these spaces and times to stop their evil doing. All the meanwhile, he is pursuing his lost love, Juliet, who is also wanted for heinous crimes in the space-time continuum. And while Romeo fights alone with his arsenal, both melee and range, he has the support of the space-time police on his side, and his grandpa on his back. Literally.
Are you like a spirit?
Not just yet. I'm on your back.
What?
That's the story and setting, which is all tied around high-impact, visceral third-person action. It's kind of what Grasshopper is best known for these days, at least if we're talking about raw gameplay. The combat is a blend of No More Heroes as well as Killer's Dead. Oh, and that other game, but way more involved and less forgiving in my opinion. Within these cracks of space and time are hordes of zombies and monsters they call rotters. Of course, you need to get stronger along the way, which not only means destroying rotters to collect experience to exchange for upgrades, but finding even more in the forms of mushrooms and floating cubes as well. That's right folks, level design is back! We've got these big, sprawling venues to run and jump around in so you can find materials for upgrades and ingredients for curry. They even expand these maps further through subspace travel, so you've got real space and subspace that you can travel between via Nirvana TVs. This all sounds like a mess, but think of it as a mirrored world. While the structure is different, the main objective is to reach areas you couldn't enter via real space. The subspace itself is much simpler and has no enemy threats, so you just have to navigate properly to find the keys you need to progress. Some of the stages also like to mix things up here and there with some puzzles or even unique mechanics altogether. You're never sure what to expect when it comes to these missions. Everything you collect, from vegetables to bastard seeds, I'll talk about those later, to space particles are brought back with you in order to get stronger, enhance your abilities, and make delicious curry. Oh yeah, look at that C-rank meal! I fucking love curry. All food and drink items buff Romeo one way or another, but I'll be honest that I didn't find myself using these often. I had more fun making the curry than I did eating it. So that's the core gameplay. Everything about this game's design, from the explorable worlds to the various weaponry to the populated hub world with unique characters, this all feels like an evolution to the structure of Travis Strikes Again, which isn't too surprising considering Ren Yamazaki took a lot of the reins as co-director. I loved chilling in Travis's humble trailer home, and I loved chilling in that giant starship while getting to know these fascinating characters, regardless of how uninterested they tend to be with me. Describing the gameplay some more, all of the footage in this video consists of my run on hard difficulty, or orange chocolate. I recall back in the day when reviewing No More Heroes 3, I decided to go with spicy, or hard mode, as my first experience. Early on, I was getting my ass kicked by Gold Joe, the second boss of the game, and it was great. The game felt like it was designed with this difficulty setting in mind, and as more people got to experience the game on their own, many complained that it was too easy on its regular difficulty, and trying that later on, I concurred. However, for Romeo Is a Dead Man, I think medium might be the way to go for most people because I was getting absolutely mogged on hard mode past the prologue. I did manage to beat it, but still, it was tough. Speaking more on the overall design, it's not as linear as, say, No More Heroes. It's closer to Killer's Dead, where you're often tasked to overcome certain obstacles that usually involve exploring the area. But Romeo is even less linear than that game. Everything from beginning to end remains connected. Rarely are you walled off from already covered grounds. There's also some mechanics that FromSoft fans will definitely be familiar with. Besides Romeo's Bloody Summer attack you can perform after accumulating enough blood from slashing up enemies, the only way to heal is via healing pill, which you start with 1 in your inventory. You can replenish said pill by visiting any pharmacy points scattered throughout the stage, and there's opportunity to raise that stock via upgrades. So it's like Romeo's
Estus
flask, while the pharmacies are like his bonfires. Visiting the pharmacy also fully heals you, allows you to upgrade or unlock new gear, go back to the ship and visit anyone there, etc. However, as soon as you exit that pharmacy and get back onto the stage, all regular enemies have respawned. It's clearly designed like this so you didn't just cheese your way through the stages by abusing the pharmacy. You get free heals, but so do all the rotters. There are gated confrontations where once you clear it, that's it. These are just a one and done. I suppose since the stages aren't linear anymore, they wanted you to recover on your own when it was necessary, rather than strewn health ups about or something like your more linear hack and slash titles. You need to use just about everything at your disposal to stand a chance, as the enemies can overrun you pretty easily. Not just your bladed weapons, not just your guns, but also your bastards. There's a whole bastard system where you occasionally find seeds and can plant them back at the base, out of wedlock. Once given time to grow and harvest, they can be summoned to support you in all kinds of ways in the stages, from firing away as an auto-aiming turret, shooting poison at your immediate foes, or oh my fucking god, they're heaven smile. And there's plenty of other abilities, ones I'm sure I haven't discovered as of this recording. Basically, if you're not using all 3 of your main methods to kill regularly, you're not playing the game right. You have to balance slashing, firing, and summoning, or else you'll get easily overrun by these undead fiends. They keep things simple, tying bastard spawns to cooldown timers, as well as infinite ammo for your guns. But you need to keep your wits about you. Approach all confrontations with a plan. You can't just kick in the door waving the 4-4, lest you want to be an easy meal for the rotters. Honestly, this might be the biggest praise for Romeo Is a Dead Man. The core gameplay is actually challenging. It calls for you to understand the mechanics and fight hordes efficiently. For years, many games, including some of Grasshopper's, feel like pushovers where they're almost afraid of letting the players suffer and learn. I died so many times during my orange chocolate run. Even when I got lost in these worlds, the game barely gave me any semblance of guidance. Well, I guess Bag Juliet in the subspace helped me here and there. The most advice the game gives me is when I'm getting mollywopped by bosses and Grandpa's like, hey, maybe some upgrades will help you suck less at the boss fight. Otherwise, we're basically on our own to figure out how to overcome the situations, which is awesome if you ask me. All of the rotter mowing skills you've accumulated gets put to the test when you confront a boss. Unsurprisingly, this is the highlight of the game, as these large beasts are so beautifully grotesque in their design and pack a wallop. Fighting, dying, and retrying kind of reminds me of my old days playing Monster Hunter 3 and how late game monsters were able to kill me within literal seconds because I got hit by a single attack. It can get frustrating at times, but I have to emphasize the game makes itself clear that you need to understand their patterns and tells in order to conquer these bosses. But it also knows when to take a breather. That's what the starship, Last Night, is for. This is your hub world. In between all missions, you can run around and talk to the crew running the place, including Romeo's own family. In between missions, they've all got something to say and stories to share. Take the time to relax and get to know these colorful folks. Literally, they've all got color code names. Hey, I know you. And there are some points of criticism I'd like to share though. For one, swapping between swords and guns feels a bit cumbersome. It's not quick enough for my liking. I can make a slick quick draw here and there, but my flow would fuck up often when trying to get a quick reload in. So, to explain what I'm trying to do here, you pull out whatever highlighted gun by holding left trigger, which also locks you into a third-person camera angle. You reload the gun by hitting X while holding left trigger, but that command doesn't register very quick after firing, so when I'm trying to initiate reloading while letting go so I can change the camera and keep an eye on all of the enemies around me, Romeo will instead use his melee weapon aimlessly because I'm just pressing X, according to the game, which can really screw me over at times. I just want the command to read much sooner than they've allowed. That's all. Selecting your weaponry doesn't feel very fast either. A lot of things are tied to different menus, such as temporary buff items as well as weapons. Maybe I'm just an idiot, but I feel like understanding my selection and making the right choice takes a little too long sometimes. Perhaps I just need to cement the info into my head so I don't even have to look at the bottom corners. Also, I cannot make the Star Destroyer work. It is so slow, and it in turn makes my movements slow. I try to get some hits, and the Marauders just pummel at me. Even the preview shows the player got lucky as shit. Look, they barely dodged that swipe. Again, maybe I'm just dumb. But so far, this weapon is useless to me. The rest are sick though. Also, experiencing all the stages, gotta be honest, level design is nice and diverse, a lot of the ambushes and setups are fun to blast through, that's all well and good, but the atmosphere is kind of underwhelming. So all of the main stages take places in different eras of time, different generations, which are conveniently all under 70 years in the past. One takes place in the 60s, one in the 70s, 80s, etc. And that's fine as a direction, except they don't really go the extra mile to sell that era. All of these generations sported a distinct atmosphere in these public spaces, like in real life, especially in Western countries, but these stages don't seem to really reflect that. The most we get are the splash title, the Marauder wardrobes, and some furnishings, like these posters. But even that isn't consistent. Like, look, we're in 1968, okay? Look at these bus stop ads. They look like they're from this year. Oh, I'm in the 90s? Cool, except this entire stage takes place inside an abandoned asylum. Literally nothing about this stage screams the 90s. Where are the Pearl Jam CDs and Super Nintendos? Where's OJ? Ghost hunting shows weren't even at their peak during this decade, so you can't even chalk it up to honkies with cameras exploring these kinds of places. Come on. Moving on, for those intimidated by the rock hard challenge this game presents, there are some accessibility features. Besides a colorblind mode, which I assume is helpful for those that are colorblind, you also have aim assist for both types of weapons. I don't personally use aim assist myself, but I know it can be helpful to those that have a harder time aiming with a controller. This shit is single player, I'm not judging you. I suck at aiming with a controller too, but I just deal with it. That's my prerogative. Speaking of, don't forget to soft lock when needed. It is absolutely necessary against certain bosses and enemy types. As far as I can tell, the tutorial does not point out this very useful mechanic. Just like in No More Heroes 3, and frankly this is kind of a flaw, enemies will keep attacking you even when they're out of sight. And some of their attacks are destructive. And just a little tip for those having a tough time, there's always opportunity to grind for more experience and upgrades. From the current venue itself to these separate closed-in labyrinths that promise great goodies if you manage to clear the whole thing without dying, you're never truly against the wall. Except sometimes. I'm also happy to say, playing the PC version, it all runs smooth like butter. As far as I could tell, everything ran at 60 frames while in 1080p, even during the most intense moments. The graphical options are plentiful, so tweak to whatever you'd like. I did notice some dips here and there while trying to record clean footage under the same processor, but that's probably my build showing its age. For what it's worth, my PC meets the recommended settings, and then some in certain aspects, and I built this thing like more than 5 years ago. I imagine the console versions run well too if they've already got the PC version doing so well here. This is not usually a given when it comes to Unreal 5 projects. As for the presentation itself, this might be Grasshopper's best work yet. Their games usually contain a pretty unique way to present things like the HUD and the menus, and this is some of their most stylish. I love the solid colors and trailing shapes in the pause menu, all while cleanly showing the relevant info. In a world where new games can't wait to shove their menus into a dark void of nothingness with white text, the fine people at Grasshopper have not forgotten that even pausing a game can have style. The in-game visuals are also pretty dazzling, as the action is pumped with amazing blood effects, and all the spectacle of pulling off special attacks is very gratifying. While the combat isn't as quick and snappy as some of their previous games, it makes up for it with hard, meaty attacks. And that's not to say you can't do quick combos with some of these weapons, you certainly can. It's also a lot of fun to do some quick swap shooting in between slashing and bashing. The game also blends many unique art styles from various artists, but nothing feels aimless. It all just melds together really well, between lush 3D environments to simple 2D overhead visuals. It can go in so many directions without you feeling lost or confused. The music is awesome too. We've got some familiar returns such as Nobuaki Kaneko and the other musicians that make up for Red Orca. I can't wait to get the clean tracks to the music because there isn't one dud in the game. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite soundtracks in all of Grasshopper's history. I love how the story is presented too. While we've got some nicely detailed real-time cutscenes between characters, we've also got these comic book styles sporting amazing illustrations by Tadayuki Nomaru, a Grasshopper artist you might already be familiar with. All of this drives home the story of Romeo doing his best delivering justice on heinous criminals while Juliet continues to haunt him throughout these space-time conundrums.
Okay, let's get started.
As per a lot of Grasshopper games, Romeo Is a Dead Man wears its inspiration on its sleeves. Many noted the most obvious ones like Back to the Future as well as Rick and Morty. Those two kind of go hand in hand, don't they? But I understand. Kooky grandpa obsessed with out-of-this-world science and technology. It's undeniable. Even the bastards kind of remind me of Mr. Meeseeks. These human-proportioned individuals that are ready to follow your command when prompted. Suda has also said he based Benjamin's look off of David Bowie, which you can really see in Nomaru's piece. But I think he's taking a lot from Japanese pop culture as well, more than his last few projects. The whole thing has the vibe of 70s and 80s sci-fi anime, like Gundam, of course, as well as Mazinger Z and Macross. Suda as a creator really moved up in the game industry when so many Japanese devs were trying to meld with America's pop culture sense. And he was part of that, obviously, looking at No More Heroes that takes so much from Western pieces. But now this feels like he's being even more true to himself, paying strong homage to what inspired him at such a young age, growing up with these kinds of shows. The old sci-fi appeal is more prominent than anything else.
I've got a visual on the Dimensional Seer.
Prepare to fire Eternal Sleep.
Overall, I'm really happy with this game. It has so much to offer, especially for a budgeted experience. We've got carded Marios costing $80. We've got rumors of the next GTA costing players $100. Against all that, Grasshopper has provided an independently published Romeo Is a Dead Man on sale for the low price of $49.99 US. Such an amazing value for a one-of-a-kind sci-fi adventure on modern gaming hardware. So, should you buy Romeo Is a Dead Man? I don't know, do you like blasting freaks and gutting fools? Do you want to fly a spaceship, deliver justice on interdimensional fiends, and make mouth-watering curry? Yes, 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 and yes? Then, yes, you should. And don't be afraid if this is even your first Grasshopper game. I think this is just as good of a starting point for new fans as No More Heroes or Killer 7. That's not to say there aren't some interesting connections between this and previous games, but do you need to know why I know who Ghenryperez is? Or why I definitely do not trust this motherfucker? Not really. Being in the dark on those kinds of things doesn't impede the story in any way. If anything, this should entice you to check out their previous work too after playing through Romeo, as the journey of exploring the world of Kill the Past doesn't end with this game. So don't be intimidated if this is your first game by the coolest Japanese dev studio around. Get in on the slashy shooty action that spans across space and time. Wrapping things up, I want to talk about the story for a bit. While much of this tale is still incredibly mystifying, the centerpiece of it all is, of course, Romeo and his true love, Juliet. While the game has our esteemed protagonist traveling across different planes of space and time to apprehend the most dastardly foes, and as he's flung into all kinds of situations and confrontations he couldn't even begin to imagine, fighting hordes of these beastly rotters, the most constant and everlasting thing he keeps close to his chest is the love he shares with Juliet. We get to see how they met, how they dedicate their love for each other, how that love conflicts with Romeo's duty, and how that love blossomed into something that he can't live without. This sci-fi adventure is a love story above all else.
This town only has a lake, so I want to see the ocean.
East Coast or West Coast? Which do you like?
Maybe the longer one?
Longer? Like the length of the beaches?
No, the distance to the ocean. That way we can be together longer.
I think that's why they chose to release it around Valentine's Day, which is just around the corner, because this is a story about love. So if you've got that special someone in your life, and you too want to experience the ultimate love story that travels across space and time, check out Romeo Is a Dead Man. As always, thanks for watching, and a special thanks to Grasshopper for giving me the opportunity to review such an awesome game.